Hey guys, Hayden here with a quick tutorial on using fades effectively in your dance mixes and edits. And just an FYI, these tutorials are geared towards dancers to help you make your own dance mix or edit. So nothing super technical or fancy in these tutorials, just basic things like transitioning from one song to another or cutting out a chorus, things like that. And today we are working with fades in GarageBand, so let's just get right to it. So with GarageBand open here, let's go ahead and import a couple of songs to work with, and there are two ways to do that. The first and easier way is to open a Finder window and navigate to where those songs are and simply drag and drop the song into your mix. The other way we can do this is by, once we have a track in here, so let's add a second track, audio track, we can right click on a track and click Add Audio File. That will pull up the same window, and then I can just click there on the song I want to import and click open, and it'll pull that in as well. And now I have two songs successfully imported into GarageBand. Pretty simple. So now that we have these two songs in here, let's go ahead and cut these to taste. So let's say I want to keep the intro and the first verse of song number 1 and cut out the rest. And in song number 2, I want to cut out the intro and keep the chorus and the rest of song number 2. So it just has a nice little transition. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is just close out these two windows. I don't need these, and I like my space on my computer, so I can turn off this smart tool, and I can turn off this library tool, and now I can see a lot more. It's a lot easier to cut music doing it this way. So let's dial in here and try to find the transition points that we are going to use in our song. So on song number 1, again, we're going to try to find right after the first verse. Wherever that chorus starts, looks like it's somewhere around here maybe. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see the whole song. Yeah, it looks like it's probably around here. So let's play this back. I'm going to mute my second track, which is this little button here. And let's play that back and see if we can find that downbeat. Yep, and there it is. That was the downbeat right there. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, try to find exactly where that downbeat is. Here we go. Okay, so there it is. That is the downbeat that we want. So let's zoom in a little bit more here and put our playhead right where we want to cut the music. So this is the downbeat of that chorus. I don't want to cut this out. And the reason why is because I want to overlay this downbeat onto the downbeat of the next song that we're transitioning into. And there's another reason that I'll show you why we want to keep that as well. So I'm going to go past that a little bit. I'm going to right click here, split at playhead. That's how we cut in GarageBand. And now that I can select this last half of that track and hit delete, and I have made that cut there. So let's zoom back out, and now we'll do the same thing in song number 2. This time we're going to keep the chorus in song number 2. So let's select that track, mute the other. We will play here and find that downbeat. And there it was. I'm going to do a little more so we can have a little more reference. Okay, so that's the downbeat. It's right around there. I can zoom in on that. And this zoom tool, the way that this works is it zooms in wherever your playback head is, your cursor thing here. So I can zoom in on that. Somewhere around here is that downbeat. So let's jump back a little ways and hit play and see if we can find it. And there it is. So there is my downbeat, that peak of the waveform. So if I zoom in a little more, I can really dial in where I want to cut this. Now, this playhead will snap to these little grid lines up here. And so in my case, it's snapping right to that point. It's not normally going to snap to those points anywhere else. So if this is annoying and you need this to be more precise, you can actually just slide this track over so that it's not on one of those grid lines. It's not lining up with that. And then you can really get a little more precise with where you're going to cut it. I'm going to zoom in even more though, so you can really get it. See, I don't want to cut out my waveform. I want to go right before that. That's where I want to cut it. So I'm going to right click there, split playhead. We'll zoom back out, select this beginning that we don't want, delete it using the delete key. And then if we zoom back out here, now we have the two cuts that we want. This is the mix that we want, but we do need to line it up here. So I'm going to drag this over. And then again, move my cursor playhead here so that I can zoom in on it. So now I have two downbeats This is the downbeat from song number 1, and here's my downbeat from song number 2. These are both count 1 of the chorus. And now what I can do is line these up. And this is why we keep that downbeat here, is because now I can visually see where those downbeats are happening. If I had cut this, over here, let's just show you, for example, if I had cut this over here, I can't see where that downbeat's going to happen, and I'm kind of guessing where that's going to be. So instead of doing that, I want to keep some of that downbeat in there so I can line it up. Also, we do want these to overlap a little bit because that makes for a better sounding transition. So now that we have those lined up, I can play those back. You can hear how that transition sounds here. So let's go ahead and listen back. Sounds pretty good. It's a little choppy, but that's okay. We'll work on cleaning that up. So what we can do is zoom in here again. I'm going to shorten this a little bit. I don't need that much. I just want kind of this downbeat here. And now we're going to add fades to these so that we can avoid clicks and pops. So when you cut audio files like we just did, this can result in clicks and pops in your music, right where that transition happens. And so the way we avoid that is by adding fades. The way that you do that in GarageBand is by opening the automations tool. And that can be found under Mix up here, Show Automation. Or you can simply toggle that on and off by hitting A on your keyboard. So with that on, this over here will tell us what automation we're working with. We're going to leave that on volume because that's what we want to do. And then if you click on the track, it'll create this little yellow line. So this yellow line signifies the max volume here. So if I click on it again, anywhere I click, it's going to add a point to that line. And I can add a second one and then pull this line down. And what that's going to do is it's going to take the volume of this track from 0 dB, which is the max volume. I don't ever want to push that above 0 dB, just FYI. Keep that at 0. And then pull this one down to negative infinity. And that is a quick fade out. And then I can do the same thing to this track down here and fade in right here. So that'll avoid any clicks and pops. And I can really adjust this to taste to make the transition really smooth. Anyway, that looks pretty good. So let's just go ahead and do that. We'll turn off our automation window overlay by hitting A on our keyboard. Zoom back out. Let's take a listen now and see how that sounds. Much better. Okay, so now that we have that transition there, I do want to show you one last thing with fades. You can add longer fades, obviously, and we're just going to show that real quick. So let's say I have a chorus here at the end of my mix, and it's kind of repeating again and again the same chorus, and I'm kind of tired of it, and I want to end it earlier, or maybe my song is a little too long. If I go up here and change my LCD to beats and time, I can see that my song is 2 minutes and 10 seconds here where my cursor is at the end. So let's say I want to shorten that down to 1 minute and 45 seconds. I can cut this again by splitting it playhead, or I can simply just drag this over and that'll cut it out as well, just like that. And then I can add a longer fade here. So again, let's toggle on our automation. We'll go ahead and click somewhere around here and add this fade and then drop that down. And we do want to make sure that this point is not past this because you're leaving that click or pop in the music here and you're going to hear it really sudden. So let's just keep that on the audio file and let's play that back and you can hear how that sounds. And just like that, we've added a longer fade. So that is how we use fades effectively in GarageBand. Pretty easy. So just to recap, once you've added the songs you want to edit, you cut out the parts you don't want by right-clicking and using splitting at playhead, or you can simply just go to the end of the track and drag it to shorten it or lengthen it if you want to do that. Then you're going to line up your downbeats so they're really precise. Always, always, always add fades to the end of each clip. And one last thing to note in GarageBand is the automation. If I have that open, and let's say I want to move this track, if I were to add something and I was deciding, okay, I'm going to move this chorus around, if I shifted this over, it does not move the fades with it. So that's something you want to keep in mind. If you do move your audio file around, make sure you double check your fades, and you can actually highlight the fades by clicking and dragging over the track, just like that. And then I can just click here and drag it over and make sure my fades are still where they need to be, if that makes sense. So that is pretty much it with GarageBand and using fades effectively. Hopefully this video was helpful. If so, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions about making mixes or edits for dance, you can contact me directly or head over to dancecuts.com/contact. And just for those curious, here is Dance Cuts, our music editor made for dancers. Dance Cuts automatically adds fades for you when you make a cut or selection, so you don't have to worry about those clicks and pops, and you can easily adjust those fades by using this little handle here. This is much easier than other editors, as Dance Cuts was created for dancers. It is free, so be sure to check that out, and you can do that by heading over to dancecuts.com and navigating to the downloads page. We also have loads of tutorials to help you quickly learn Dance Cuts, with more tutorials being made regularly, so be on the lookout for those, and we will see you in the next one.